So if you have ever flown into Los Angeles at night, you know the exact feeling I'm talking about. You look out the airplane window, and instead of a normal logical city grid, it's just
Oh, it's just this endless, sprawling ocean of lights.
exactly just sodium lights stretching all the way to the horizon. I mean, it doesn't even look like a single city. It looks like someone took, I don't know, 70 completely different towns, dumped them into a desert basin, and just connected them with this tangled web of 10-lane freeways.
Yeah, it's massive. And honestly, it is super intimidating.
Right. And frankly, if you don't know what you're doing, you can so easily spend your entire vacation just staring at the back of someone else's bumper on the 405 freeway. Just,
Yep.
sweating through your shirt and wondering where the actual Hollywood magic is supposed to be.
Well, and that sheer scale is exactly why LA actively resists being understood by visitors. Like, you have these incredibly dense, culturally distinct pockets, right? You've got downtown's historic core, the neon history of Hollywood, the manicured luxury of Beverly Hills, but the physical distance between them is just daunting.
Oh, totally.
A traveler can't just step out of their hotel and walk to all the major landmarks like they might in, say, Paris or New York. The geography itself is basically a barrier to entry.
Right. And that is exactly why we are here today. So welcome to the Travel Podcast by ExcursionPass. We're doing a deep dive today, and we are taking our collective travel expertise and focusing it on a very specific, fascinating mystery.
Yeah, we've dug through a huge stack of itineraries, user feedback, and travel research to analyze this half-day excursion. It's operated by a company called Guideline Tours, and it's their Grand City tour of Los Angeles, Hollywood, and Beverly Hills.
And the real mystery here, the thing we want to figure out today, is the rating. Because anyone who travels knows that large-scale city tours, they usually hover around like a mediocre 3 stars.
Yeah, they're often viewed as just a necessary evil.
Exactly. Yet this specific 4 to 5 hour excursion has managed to rack up a near-perfect 4.9 out of 5 rating across hundreds of reviews. And we're going to unpack exactly why, because honestly, we've basically lived this exact experience and we know exactly what they're doing right.
We really need to approach that 4.9 rating not just as some marketing metric, but as an anomaly to decode. Because, I mean, on paper, attempting to synthesize downtown LA, Hollywood, and Beverly Hills into a single afternoon.
It sounds impossible.
Right, it sounds like a logistical impossibility. At best, it sounds like a rushed, chaotic blur. But our mission today is to unpack the mechanics of how this operator actually pulls it off, the psychology behind why it resonates so deeply with the people who take it, and, well, whether this format is actually the ultimate shortcut to understanding a notoriously difficult city.
So let's just address the elephant in the room right away. We are highly experienced travelers and we know the pitfalls. And because of that, we can totally anticipate the dread you're probably feeling right now when you hear the phrase 4-hour LA City tour.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I know the image flashing in your mind. You are picturing being herded like cattle onto the top deck of a massive open-air bus.
Sweating.
Yes. You're picturing the brutal, unrelenting Southern California sun baking the top of your head while you awkwardly wedge your knees behind a plastic seat.
And trying to listen to some crackling, blown-out speaker pointing out a tall hedge that, might belong to a celebrity.
All while breathing in the diesel exhaust of the bus idling directly in front of you. It's miserable.
It is. That is the classic blueprint for tourist trap anxiety. What the source material reveals here, however, is a fundamental shift in the physical environment of this tour. The first operational choice Guideline Tours makes is just eliminating the double-decker bus entirely.
Thank goodness.
Right. They run a small group experience. It is strictly capped at a maximum of 20 people. And more importantly, the transportation is a modern, enclosed, climate-controlled minivan.
Which is huge.
One of the reviewers we looked at, Domain G, specifically noted the spatial comfort of traveling in this spacious Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van.
Yeah, and when you were dealing with a Los Angeles summer, where the concrete literally seems to radiate heat back up at you, a strong air conditioning system is not a luxury perk.
No, not at all.
It is a biological survival mechanism. I was actually reading through the feedback from a reviewer who goes by the initials KB, and they painted this super vivid picture of spending their previous days doing the typical tourist grind.
Oh, walking miles and miles down Hollywood Boulevard.
Exactly. And the brutal heat, fighting crowds, feet aching. And KB wrote that the moment they stepped into that van, the AC felt, quote, heavenly.
I believe it. That transition from heat exhaustion to physical comfort completely changes a traveler's cognitive state. We can really look at this through the lens of environmental psychology.
Okay, break that down for me.
Well, when you are physically uncomfortable, when you're hot, crowded, straining to hear over street noise, your brain shifts into this mild state of distress. Your cognitive bandwidth is entirely consumed by just managing your discomfort.
Right, you're just thinking, I need water, I need to sit down.
Exactly. So, by prioritizing an intimate, strictly climate-controlled environment, the operators are essentially regulating the traveler's nervous system. You cannot absorb the cultural history of a city if you are desperate for a fan.
Yeah, it makes total sense. It functions almost like a human ad blocker for a major metropolis. Instead of being bombarded by the stress of navigating traffic, the heat, the overwhelming noise, you are sitting in an insulated bubble.
Yeah.
Someone else is filtering out all the exhaustion and only presenting you with the curated, interesting parts of the city. It's like a VIP backstage pass. You get the intimacy and flexibility of having a private local friend drive you around, but without having to mortgage your house to pay for a bespoke tour.
Yeah, but a comfortable seat is merely the baseline, right? The real test of a city tour's efficacy is how it physically connects to that disjointed geography we talked about earlier.
Sure.
The itinerary here reveals a very deliberate chronological progression through the city's architectural and cultural evolution.
Yeah, and I really want to walk through what that route actually feels like, because we've lived it. Picture this. You're looking out the tinted window, the AC is humming quietly. The narrative starts by grounding you in the dense, vertical core of downtown LA.
Right.
You roll past the historic Civic Center and the imposing cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels. And then the block changes, and suddenly the architecture violently shifts. You're staring at the sweeping, metallic, gravity-defying curves of the Walt Disney Concert Hall.
Frank Gehry's masterpiece.
Exactly. It's just sitting there like a silver ship right in the middle of the urban grid.
And that transition from downtown is critical. From that urban core, the route moves geographically and culturally upward. You transition into the Hollywood Hills, catching the obligatory but essential sightlines of the Hollywood sign and the chaotic energy of the Walk of Fame.
You got to see it.
You do. But then the van glides down the Sunset Strip. And this isn't just a road, it's literally a living museum of music history. You are passing institutions like the Whiskey A Go and the Rainbow Bar and Grill.
The exact pavement where the Doors and Led Zeppelin basically shifted the trajectory of global pop culture.
Exactly. And finally, the route descends into the manicured, palm tree-lined, ultra-wealthy enclave of Beverly Hills and Rodeo Drive.
Now, the physical cross-section of the city is undeniable. But I have to bring up a major complication here, something that you might be doubting right now. It's a feature ExcursionPass highlights called multimedia context.
Yeah.
According to the breakdown, the local guide's live narration is paired with a multimedia presentation on screens inside the van. They show you famous film scenes and historical footage while you drive. Now, I have to push back on this, just as a devil's advocate.
Go for it.
If I fly all the way to California and I pay for a tour to experience the physical city, and I'm supposed to sit in a van staring at an iPad screen, doesn't that completely defeat the purpose of traveling? I mean, I can watch movies on my couch at home.
Well, the skepticism is totally warranted if we assume the screen replaces the window. But the mechanics of this feature operate very differently. It triggers a psychological phenomenon we can call parasocial geography.
Parasocial geography.
Yeah, Los Angeles is a unique urban space because most of us have already consumed it virtually before we ever arrive. We have deep emotional memories attached to locations we've never actually visited purely through cinema and television.
Oh, I see. So the screen acts as a bridge between the fiction and the reality.
Exactly that. The execution is all about temporal framing. You don't stare at the screen for 20 minutes. You look out the window at a seemingly random, nondescript diner or an ordinary office building.
Right.
The guide provides the context, and then for 10 seconds, the screen plays the iconic, explosive movie scene that was filmed right there. You look back out the window, and your brain suddenly anchors that fictional memory to the physical street corner passing by. It superimposes the past onto the present.
Wow, okay, that completely flips my perspective on it. Because without that 10-second visual anchor, I would just see a boring stucco building and go back to checking my phone.
Exactly.
The multimedia turns the invisible history of the city into something tangible. It transforms a disjointed collection of buildings into a cohesive living production set. You aren't just passively looking. You're actively connecting the history of media with the physical geography right in front of you.
Yeah, and a cleverly designed route and slick multimedia integration, those are excellent structural components. But in the travel industry, structural components are meaningless if the human execution fails.
Oh, I said.
Any guided experience lives or dies by the person holding the microphone. So the next question we have to unravel is the depth of the content. In a place like Hollywood, the default temptation is just to fill 4 hours with shallow celebrity gossip and pointing out the security gates of mansions.
Yeah, and I can read a tabloid at the airport for free. If I am dedicating a half day of my vacation to a tour, I need more than, look, there's a tall hedge. A famous actor might live behind it.
Right.
And that is where the hundreds of reviews for guideline tours paint such a surprising picture. The guides aren't praised for dishing dirt on celebrities. They are universally highlighted for their deep encyclopedic knowledge of the city's history, its complex architecture, and its cultural evolution.
And the distinction between celebrity trivia and cultural history is vast. We saw a reviewer named Kwame K leave a particularly illuminating comment regarding his guide, an LA native named Jim.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one.
Kwame noted that Jim's grasp of the history and current affairs of Los Angeles was so profound that the experience felt less like a sightseeing trip and more like a history field trip with a professor.
A professor. That is the exact opposite of the shallow Hollywood stereotype. And it actually makes total sense when you look at the background of the company. Guideline Tours isn't some massive corporate conglomerate that just churns through seasonal employees.
No, not at all.
They have been operating as a family-run business since 1988. They actually used to be a much larger operation, but they intentionally downsized their fleet to focus exclusively on this highly personal, small group format.
Which is so smart. That kind of institutional knowledge is exceptionally rare in modern tourism. You're interacting with guides who haven't just memorized a script. They have actively watched the city evolve, shift, and rebuild itself over the span of decades.
Yeah. They possess the nuanced understanding of a local who has actually lived through the city's eras. But, the knowledge is impressive, but the hospitality is what truly solidifies that 4.9 rating. We have to talk about the owner of the company, Dave.
Yes, Uncle Dave.
Yes, who still personally drives tours, by the way. There is this staggering anecdote from a reviewer named Laura B. She and her daughter were caught in infamous LA traffic on the 101 freeway.
Which is a nightmare.
A total nightmare. They were running late, watching the clock tick down, completely panicking that they were going to miss their departure and just lose their money.
And the standard operating procedure for most large tour operators is uncompromising there. If you miss the departure time, the bus leaves without you and your ticket is voided. The logistics of a massive operation just don't allow for individual delays.
But Laura called the office and Dave answered, and he didn't recite some strict cancellation policy. He immediately calmed her down, looked at the traffic patterns, and actively rerouted his van to a new, easier pickup location just to intercept them.
That is amazing.
And because of the delay, he actually ended up giving them a private tour himself. That level of empathy completely changes the dynamic. Another reviewer, who uses the handle Inspire, had Dave as a guide and mentioned that Dave knew the names of every single person in the van within the first 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. Inspire's daughters literally started calling him Uncle Dave by the end of the day. You're no longer a ticket number. You are a guest in someone's hometown.
Yeah, and the affection in the source material extends well beyond the owner, too. Another guide who consistently dominates the highest rated reviews is a woman named Bing.
Grandma Bing.
Yes. Reviewers refer to her as Grandma Bing. They point out a very specific dual-layered skill set with her. First, her ability to navigate the chaotic, often aggressive LA traffic with incredibly smooth driving, ensuring no one gets motion sickness.
Which is a huge plus in the hills.
Absolutely. And second, her delivery of witty, highly insightful commentary while doing so.
The reviews from people like Vicky, Josephine, and Nomad, they just rave about her. And one of the most fascinating points is how well Bing handles multi-generational groups.
So it's a tough balance.
It's incredibly difficult to keep a 10-year-old entertained while simultaneously giving a 70-year-old the deep historical context they crave.
Yeah.
But Bing bridges that gap effortlessly. And there is one detail from the reviews that I absolutely love.
The surprise stop.
Yes. Multiple groups mentioned that Bing threw in a totally unscripted surprise stop at the original farmers market.
Incorporating an unscripted stop is just a masterclass in reading a room.
Oh, totally.
The original farmers market is a beloved historic landmark at the corner of 3rd and Fairfax. It's known for this incredible maze of food stalls. By deviating from the set itinerary to pull over there, the guide demonstrates that they are not shackled to a rigid corporate timeline.
Right, they aren't just robots.
Exactly. They are assessing the energy of the group, perhaps noticing that people are getting hungry or restless, and dynamically adjusting the experience. It transforms a standard tour into something organic and custom-tailored.
So we've unpacked the mechanics of the comfortable vans, the psychology of the multimedia context, and the incredible human element provided by people like Uncle Dave and Grandma Bing. Now let's pivot to the practical logistics.
Let's do it.
Because understanding why the tour is great is only half the battle. Understanding how it fits into a smart traveler's itinerary is the other.
And the underlying value proposition here really requires analyzing the price point relative to the time saved. The cost is set at $89 for adults and $84 for children.
Which is honestly crazy reasonable.
It is. When you evaluate, 4 to 5 hours of guided small group transportation costs in a major metropolitan area, that figure is highly competitive.
Think about the alternative, right? If you try to replicate this route on your own, you are paying for a rental car.
And the gas.
And the gas. You are paying $30 for parking every single time you want to stop and look at a landmark. You are spending half your day staring at a GPS app, arguing with your family about which lane you need to be in, and fighting for a spot in a crowded lot.
It's exhausting.
It really is. For $89, you are essentially buying back your vacation time and your sanity. They even handle the first mile of logistics by offering direct hotel pickups from specific zones in downtown Los Angeles and Hollywood.
And if a traveler is staying outside those specific zones, the infrastructure of the company allows for adaptation. As we saw with the Laura B. anecdote, the operators are accessible, you can call them, and they will coordinate the most logical, low-stress pickup point based on your location.
Which is so convenient.
Yeah, and the other crucial logistical safety net highlighted on the ExcursionPass platform is the cancellation policy.
Oh, this is huge. They offer free cancellation up to 24 hours before the experience starts, give you a full refund. That is a massive injection of peace of mind.
It really is.
Travel is inherently unpredictable. Flights get delayed, someone wakes up with a cold, or maybe you just miscalculated how exhausted you'd be after your flight.
Or perhaps you leaned just a little too heavily into the nightlife at the Whiskey A Go-Go on the Sunset Strip the night before and really need to sleep in.
Exactly. Having that 24-hour buffer completely removes the anxiety of vacation lock-in. You can secure your spot in that 20-person van weeks in advance, knowing that if the unpredictable happens, you aren't financially penalized.
So, synthesizing all of these elements really provides a very clear answer to our initial mystery.
The 4.9 rating.
Right. The 4.9 rating is not a fluke. For a traveler who values deep historical context, who wants to combat the physical exhaustion of navigating a sprawling metropolis, and who fundamentally respects the value of their own time, this specific guideline tours experience offers an incredibly efficient solution.
It is the ultimate antidote to information overload. You bypass the hours of piecing together Wikipedia articles, the frustration of dead-end streets, and the exhaustion of the Southern California heat.
Yeah, you just get to enjoy it.
In a single, highly curated afternoon, you connect the sprawling dots of LA's architecture, its musical heritage, and its cinematic history, all while feeling like you're being shown around by a knowledgeable local friend.
It replaces the anxiety of the unknown with the comfort of curation.
Perfectly said. As we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. Building on that concept of parasocial geography and those multimedia screens we talked about.
Okay, let's hear it.
Los Angeles is really unlike any other city on Earth because it is in a constant state of being filmed. The architecture, the streets, the diners, they're always serving a dual purpose. They are physical reality, but they are also an active working backdrop.
Right. The city is essentially a living, breathing, ever-evolving production set.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you are sitting in that cool minivan, looking out the window as the guide matches the history of cinema with the asphalt rolling by outside, remember this. You aren't just looking backward at the history of movies.
Oh, that's a great point.
Because those same streets are still being permitted and locked down by film crews every single day. You are physically driving through the backdrop of tomorrow's blockbuster movies before they're even released.
Wow, yeah.
A year from now, you might be sitting in a dark theater watching a massive car chase or a really emotional scene, and you'll suddenly realize, hey, I know that street corner. I drove right past it with Uncle Dave.
That is the real magic of exploring Los Angeles.
It really is. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep traveling smart.